We are live. How about you, everybody? Welcome into this week's edition of the Auburn Live Call-In Show. Today is April the 2nd, Sunday, 2023. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. I'm joined tonight, as I always am, by Mr. Jhead and Mr. Cole Pinkston. How about you, fellas?
How about you, brother?
Yes, sir. Three-man crew again tonight with Keith, still on his vacay.
Keith holding down the gate. No, he's in. I saw today he is in. Keith Niebuhr is at the golf match.
Yeah,
at some Long Beach.
Long Beach. Yeah,
that's it. So he's in SoCal now.
No, not Pebble Beach.
Okay,
Pebble Beach. Yeah, it's Pebble Beach.
Long Beach is Dr. Dre's son with Saeed. Hey. We got a great show. I got a great feeling about tonight. We've had our show. Yeah, we're getting there, Zach. A little premature. He was a little premature. I was on that though. I just feel like we're gonna have a great show tonight. We had a fantastic show last week. We had a lot of calls, a lot of great calls. I feel like that's going to continue tonight, and we're going to do our best to answer all of them. And to answer the guy who was wanting to know who he can call for Auburn, Alabama home selling, he wants to sell his home in Auburn, Alabama, and even Opelika, Lee County, Alabama. Call Jessica Andrus with the Talents Group. Fantastic realtor, folks. 3-on-3 consensus, 5-star realtor with the Talents Group. She can sell your house. She can buy you a house. She'll find you a house. Even if you want a residential, you want to move the family, she got you covered. You want an investment property to rent out to the college folk, she got you covered. Make it happen. Jessica Andrus with the Talents Group, folks. 334-704-4442. And tell her we sent you. All right. So not a lot of news coming out of this weekend. And to kind of get the show started, I saw Wendell Green had entered the not entered the transfer portal. He declared for the NBA draft of all things.
Yes.
Your take on that, Jhead? Were you surprised? I mean, I don't think we were surprised he would leave.
Not at all. I thought Wendell would do this from the very jump. And I think I even made a post on the corner talking about Auburn's off-season roster management. And I thought for feedback purposes that Wendell would turn pro just because given his size, given what he's already accomplished at Auburn, I don't know how much more he can improve his NBA draft stock at this point. It's a little bit of the Jared Harper type situation.
I hear you.
Where when you have a smaller guard and they've accomplished what he's accomplished in college basketball to this point, is one more year of college basketball really going to change anybody's opinion of you? Probably not. And if the NIL money is not there to keep you from trying to make, your move to being a professional basketball player, then it's probably best for Wendell to stay in the draft and see what options are going to be available to him. Maybe the G League, maybe over Europe. Who knows? I don't see him coming back to Auburn at this point. I would say that.
Did he say anything? Hey, and before I forget, man, y'all give us a call, 701-779-9585. This is y'all's show. We're just here to get it going. But did he say, and real quick, Bobby, before I get to you, man, did he say anything about retaining his college eligibility, or is he done?
He has not said anything about that to the best of my knowledge. Now, I need to take a better look at Justin Hokanson's report. I know he's been all over this from the very beginning. My understanding is he has not hired an agent to this point. I'm sure that could change. And even if he does, he can retain his eligibility, go through the draft process up until the combine, and then I think he has to withdraw within the first week of July to maintain that eligibility. So we'll see how long he stays in. I don't foresee him coming back to Auburn at this point. I think that's kind of done, whatever he does next. I think that's just kind of run its course to a degree.
Yeah.
But my guess is he stays in the draft and sees what he is, kind of sees if he can make it in the G League, similar to Jared Harper, and maybe make an NBA roster at some point.
Bobby wanted to know about a beer next weekend. Next weekend's going to be tough for us, man. It's Easter weekend. I got the Easter bunny. Yeah. We got recruits coming in. We got the A-Day game. Bob, I might have to take that rain check, big dog. I'm more of a bourbon guy than a beer guy, and I just can't have one, man. Jessica, she don't like me getting drinking, because when I get to drinking, ain't much stopping. But I will take you up on that at some point. I promise you. But the Good Friday and then the A-Day and then the Sunday Easter bunny, and I will take it up on a rain check though. Zach, you got us going, big dog?
We have 4 callers.
That's what I'm talking about. They just needed to know the number.
There you go.
Sure.
6848. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, guys? Bryce from Beulah.
Oh, Bryce.
Nice.
What's
y'all
on
hear
your
me?
mind tonight, big dog?
Well, hang on. I don't know. He said he can't hear us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can hear Zach. I can't hear anyone else.
Well,
All
that's about the only one you need to
Hey,
listen
can you
to.
hear us now?
Uh-oh.
Now we can't hear him.
Nah.
Alvin.
Wow.
Yep.
Did
Interesting.
we lose you? Okay, I think he dropped out.
I hear you, Bryce. Give us a call back, dude. Let's try to do it again.
Bryce, you're live. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you.
There he is.
All right, man. I don't know what was going on, but hey, I just got a quick one tonight. So I read Justin's piece earlier this week where he said that he was at the press conference. He asked Coach Freeze a question. Afterwards, Coach Freeze came up to him and was like, "Do you think I'm being too hard publicly on these guys?" I guess in reference to like wide receiver and quarterback play so far. So looking at that, and then I listened to the recruiting show Friday morning that you guys had, and y'all touched on the Heather Dinich, kind of putting the tweet out there. So kind of in your opinion, do you think that that was something that maybe Freeze and Heather are having a conversation in there, and necessarily he doesn't mind that that's being put out there publicly in reference to maybe, getting another kind of a wide receiver or maybe a couple, kind of from the portal. And then second, now that we have weeks of practice now, does anything change on y'all's opinion as far as, let's just say outside of Cam Brown and the other linebacker that jumped in, we lose 5 or 6 more. Do you think maybe the position-wise that we'll be looking for? I know we talked about like an edge, maybe a receiver, more offensive lineman, obviously quarterback, but has anything changed over kind of spring ball now that we get approaching A-Day? Thanks, guys.
Hey, appreciate you, Bryce. Fantastic questions. Cole, I'm going to let you hit on that first one, man.
Yeah.
Do you think this was contrived? And listen, I don't know that that's really important. What do you think about that? And for all those that don't know, there's this female reporter. I don't care. It doesn't matter that she's female. There was a reporter that apparently went to Auburn's practice and tweeted that, man, Auburn fans need to be very, very patient with this wide receiver group.
Yeah, well, first of all, he's talking about Justin having a conversation with Hugh Freeze afterwards. I was sitting there with Justin and Hugh Freeze when he came up and asked that question, am I being too hard on him? And his premise was, guys, listen, after everything I've been through in my career, I have a tendency to be almost too open.
Mm-hmm.
So please let me know if I ever need to draw back, if I'm saying too much, if I'm saying, hey, this guy's doing this. Or I don't want to get on these guys too hard with the media. He said that's not my game here. So that's what he was asking Justin. And I was sitting there and asking both of us sort of that question. And I thought it was pretty cool personally. He cares about how he's going about things like that.
His perception.
That's what I was saying on the show. Critical thinker, right? I just think he has a very thorough process that he thinks through everything pretty carefully when he does things. But on the Heather Dinich thing, I think she was reacting to, and it's possible she had a conversation with Hugh because he just seems to like to talk to reporters and he has a good relationship with the media. But I think she's reacting more to his body language when he was talking about the receivers, his demeanor.
Oh, so not something that she personally witnessed or was told.
It's possible. I don't know for sure. But I know that when he was talking about the receivers, I got from her tweet, I got the same feeling like, we're going to have to be patient here. There's a long way to go with those guys. And he sort of turned it back from, hey, they're not very good to, it's not exactly that. We asked them to do the most. So we got a long way to go here with these guys. And that was the point he was trying to make. But he was kind of like, he kind of had to take a breath first. Like, we got a ways to go. And she probably picked up on that. Maybe she talked to him personally and got the same kind of deal from him. But that's what I picked up on. If it means anything, just from him talking in that press conference that day.
I will say this: I don't know what his intentions were with that. He may have just been too honest, as he basically came up to Cole and said. But to me, Jhead, I don't think anything bad can come of that. Like,
No.
look, nothing bad can come from you saying our receiver room needs to step it up. Your receivers are going to get a chip on their shoulder. The recruiting is certainly going to say, okay, there's room in there for me. So I don't see how that could be a bad thing at all. Jhead, did you have anything?
No, first and foremost, as a fan, you just appreciate the candor and somebody willing to not kind of cut to the coach speak to a degree and give you a flat, honest answer. And the honest answer is that room needs to improve. Look, anybody that paid attention to our receivers last year, and we've only really made one change in the wide receiver room, and that's Nick Martin. Our leading pass catcher was Tank Bigsby. He was the leading pass catcher. Now, not in yardage, but in overall receptions, Tank Bigsby was your leader. To me, we all knew that this room had a long way to go. I do think there's talent, and I talked about it on the recruiting show. I just don't think there's that top-end talent that Hugh Freeze is used to coaching at that position. I don't think there are a bunch of NFL guys in that room. But what I do love about Hugh Freeze and his scheme is I think that they're going to get a first read open. I think they're going to do a good job of getting production out of this group. But Cole's right. I think he's probably a little frustrated that they're maybe not further along than where they need to be, but that's because of the offense and because of what they put on the wide receiver room and the adjustments they're having to make. And you're running conceptually two very different offenses from what Harsin was running to this RPO style that they're starting to put in with Coach Freeze and Philip Montgomery. And in addition to that, you're right. From a recruiting standpoint, that's messaging. You know what I mean? That's saying you can come here and play right now, today. I need you. I can use you. Whether that's how it actually plays out on the field come in fall or not, who knows? But using the media and then being savvy enough to say, hey, the awareness to come to a report and say, hey, how's this going to play with my fan base that I said this? I can't take it back now. I said it, but moving forward, am I being too honest? Is this too much for the Auburn fan base to kind of absorb right now? Or do they need this kind of awareness to prepare them going into the season, being this transparent of this is what you need to be aware of? So I thought it was a very shrewd move on his part all the way around.
Do you guys think like the backlash she received, do you guys feel like it was more because she's almost looked at as an outsider, like a more national person? Because Jaylee, you've said that, Cole, you've said it, Jhead said it, Justin said it. Do you think the backlash was more like we let this national person come inside for exclusive access and she's going to tweet that out? Do you think that was the reason people got upset?
Yeah, I think that's the reason maybe fans may have gotten upset with it. As far as the receivers getting upset with it, I mean, you know, I can say things like that. I don't have the number of followers she has or the ESPN.
Right.
You know, so they see that. And they see that as a bigger deal, right? And they should in that case. But, you know, I think for the fans' sake, I mean, we got guys that are there every week at practice and report on it every single time. And she went for one and kind of said that but she said what I was thinking too. So I think it was a good report, basically.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point.
By the way, I wanted to add too that in no way was Hugh Freeze like trying to manipulate anything. I think he was saying like, if I did say something, you know, let it ride. I just want to know for future reference, that kind of thing.
Exactly. It was, hey, I don't think in any way he was trying to shape what you guys were about to report.
No,
it was, all right, I said what I said, but moving forward, what do you guys think? Look, Nick Saban has done this with his reporters in Tuscaloosa, you know what I mean, his entire career. I'm trying to think of the famous reporter there, unfortunately, that passed not too long ago, but used to constantly utilize him. You know, I mean, there were
Cecil.
Yes, Cecil Hurt used to ask Cecil, like, hey, I'm going to get ready to do this. How's this going to play? What do you think?
Listen, nobody has a better pulse on the Auburn fan base than people who are around the Auburn fans every day, all day long.
Yes.
Yep. Us.
Right.
It's just the same for Cecil and everything else, everybody else. I mean, it's not just us. It's Philip Marshall, it's Jason Caldwell, it's Mark Murphy, it's all of us.
Exactly. And so to finally have somebody savvy enough to understand it, because look, I liked Gus, but to say that he was media savvy would not
He
be,
tried his best, man.
he did, but it would not that would not be a fair critique. And to say that Brian Harsin was aloof at best with the media, I think is a fair critique. I think he utterly despised the media, if I'm being honest.
It's one of those things that you look at, and then we'll get to the next caller. I just want to add this, but it's one of those things that you look at and you go, well, the media part, there's obviously the football part, the recruiting part, that's important. But when you see a coach that's looking at every single aspect and he's taking the time, even on something that may seem smaller in his mind as a football coach, a head coach at Auburn, you go, okay, he's definitely taking care of some the ins and outs and the little things here. It's easier to say that by watching him pay more attention to those little things like that.
Hey, real quick, Bryce, obviously a good call, got us talking, man, but he wanted to know about the transfer portal. Hugh Freeze has already told us on Inside the 20 back in February, I believe, early. He was looking for another wide receiver, an interior offensive lineman, linebacker, and I think was edge on that list, or was it an inside?
I don't know if he said.
I don't know if he said that. Yeah,
it's got to be.
But Bryce wanted to know: do you expect some more guys to hit the portal? I would, and maybe a handful more.
Yeah, probably 5 to 7 guys, I would think, somewhere in that capacity.
May 1st, a month from yesterday, the portal will open back up, and we're expecting to be covering several different recruitments at Auburn, including quarterback. I know everybody's anxious to see what happens there, and we'll do our best to keep everybody on top of it at Auburn Live on 3. Zach, keep us going, big dog.
1370. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Lord George from Nashville. How y'all doing?
Oh, gee, big dog. What's up, LG?
Life's good.
Good to hear your voices again.
Yeah.
I guess I wanted to ask about NIL and what we, recently saw Miami do or rumored to have done in basketball. And as far as what you guys know, overall health of NIL, we've heard it's good in football, but I guess just if y'all could touch on that, but then also how's it in basketball? Thanks, guys.
All right. Good stuff, LG. The Cavender twins at Miami, they think they're really pretty twins, basketball players. They went to dinner with Ruiz, the big – is that right, Zach?
Yes.
The Nigel kid they took from, was it Kansas State?
Yes.
With NIL.
Okay. So Miami got hit with some sanctions. I don't know if it was anything major or anything, but
no.
I don't think you're going to see any major sanctions anyways. But as far as NIL, I have, it's been a couple of weeks since I last talked to somebody at OTV, but when I did, and Jhead, you probably have some more current news when it comes to that than I do, but man, I mean, this was all off the record, but they seem to be pretty optimistic the way things are going.
Yeah, that's been my general sense is that they've had several donors step forward. I think more than anything, OTV, what they're trying to do is they're trying to build their subscription base. That's probably the biggest thing that they want to get.
There you go.
Where they want it to be to the best of my understanding. But as far as individual donors or big money donors, I think they feel very comfortable where they are from that standpoint, the contributions they're getting. As it pertains specifically to basketball, I will tell you what I was told is that Bruce has he has ingratiated himself to several people, and they are people that are very dedicated to ensuring that Auburn basketball NIL is where it's supposed to be. So I don't foresee that to be an issue. I don't have figures or anything of that nature. Nobody would dare tell me that. Obviously, I'm a slapdick on a podcast that would repeat that. So, but I would say that it is a healthy situation, and I don't foresee that to hinder our transfer portal recruiting if NIL should be a priority for somebody that's there that we want to protect, that we want to obtain.
I'll tell you what, LG, I'm going to see if we can't get Brett Whiteside on one of the shows this week to let him give us an update on things. I know they've got a new subscription package out. They came out with it this past week. There's some giveaways there for boxes at games. I know the A-Day, they're going to push really hard for A-Day. It might be a fantastic time to get Brett Whiteside on a show to kind of help give everybody an update. And like Jay had said, the big money donors don't seem to be the problem. It's the subscriptions that they're looking for. Those monthly smaller donations. But we'll try to see if we can't get Brett on one day this week. Keep us going, Zach. Good stuff, LG.
2428. You're live. Who we talking to? Where you calling from?
This is Johnny Caldwell from Sharpsburg, Georgia.
Oh, Lord.
Johnny Caldwell.
Just want to know y'all's pick. Hey, bud. What's up, Jeffrey Lee? Hey, just want y'all's top picks on offensive linemen that might commit to Auburn. Give your 1 and 2, Jeffrey Lee, Jhead, and then also on the defensive line, who might commit within the next couple of months. And also, have y'all ever heard from the guy that had the 10-foil on his head that called about the coaching search and shit? Has he ever called back?
Scott?
Was that the guy?
I don't think Scott actually had 10-foil in his head. I want to clarify on that. Scotty was right about a lot of things, to be honest. He may have had some conspiracy theories, but in all reality, he nailed a lot of things that he said in his first call. So,
was he from North Carolina or somewhere?
Virginia. Scott from Virginia. Yeah.
But I mean, it was pretty funny though, guys.
We need an update from Scotty.
I agree, Scott. If you're listening, call in, because I would really love to talk to you. You had a lot of things that you said that were very credible, so I would love to get you back on, man.
Hey, Johnny, what number Natural Lights you on right now?
I'm probably on about 12 deep in the six-pack, bud.
Woo, brother, I hear you.
I'm looking at new
Johnny,
cans.
talking.
I'm sitting out here. She thinks I'm very embarrassment to everything. She's laughing right now and everything because she thought I was banned from calling in to you guys. I let her call in last week, guys, but I was under the weather, about 18 of them. So I wasn't able to call in. So I let her listen before, and she just thinks this is funny as shit. I call in.
Johnny, you are my favorite caller. Please, you are never kicked off this show. Call in every week, brother.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey,
You're welcome.
Auburn versus Georgia. Who's going to win, Jhead?
It's going to be Georgia this year, Johnny.
I'm hanging up now, bro.
Brother.
Go ahead, man. Hugh Freeze is doing it, and also my wife says that Hugh Freeze needs somebody to cut his beard. He needs somebody to groom him because she sees the shows that he does, and he's never groomed and everything. I'm like, he's a recruit, baby. He's getting paid millions to do this, so somebody needs to step up and give him a shave every now and then before he jumps on the air. Because my wife's like, he looks like hell. I'm like, yeah, he needs to look like hell.
That's right. That's what recruiting looks like right there, Mama.
There you go.
That's what it's supposed to look like. Brian Hart never looked like that. He's just looking at the little girl that he was always used to looking at.
Oh.
All right, Johnny Caldwell. Hey, I'm glad to know that you have a wife. Congratulations.
Hey, I do have a wife. I know somebody did actually marry me. She messed up.
She messed up.
But anyway, I hope you guys listen to you guys. Love you guys. And 1, 2, who's committing on the offensive line and defensive line?
Good stuff.
Your best guys.
All right. Appreciate you, JC. All right.
Yes, sir.
He called you out last time on saying Auburn couldn't beat Georgia now in Alabama.
Yeah, he did. And I'm still going to say Georgia's going to win this year, but that don't mean it's going to be the trend moving forward, man.
Hey, how about he said something about soon. I would say before the end of the summer, before the season starts, who knows? But maybe we can collectively come up with 5 guys on the offensive line, 5 guys on the defensive line that Auburn could get 2 from. Yeah,
I think we can do that. And I'll give you 2 right now from something I was actually going to post on the board. I would say I was talking to somebody I would consider an industry source. And I would say Jamison Riggs and Egan Boyer are both going to be Auburn Clemson battles down to the wire. If I were putting together an offensive line group today, those would be 2 that would definitely be on my board as guys I think that potentially could be in this class.
Clemson with Boyer.
Yes.
Well, that's a little scary. because I've already put in a prediction for him to Auburn. I need to check in with him this week.
Yeah,
and I
they
will.
did.
They offered
They
him.
recently offered.
Oh,
Yes.
well, that's hey, who you beating? There you
That's
go.
right.
Because
That's
Auburn was
right.
only beating Virginia Tech when I put in that recruiting prediction, and people weren't flying off the shelves about it. But now you beat Clemson for an offensive lineman from North Carolina. You're doing something.
And definitely. And I think North Carolina's involved as well. But
Yeah.
I would say Auburn, North Carolina, Clemson for Boyer. And then obviously for Riggs, there's going to be a little bit more competition there. But I think it's going to come down to Auburn and Clemson. That's what my gut tells me and what this person said.
I'm thinking
there's another possible Auburn Clemson battle out there too, Jhead. And maybe Texas is Casey Poe.
Yes,
There
sir.
you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe, and I think Oklahoma's involved and A&M is involved with Poe as well. But yeah, definitely Auburn, Clemson are two heavy hitters for Casey Poe. I agree.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of other guys. Daniel Calhoun, Ethan Callaway was a guy that came down from North Carolina a couple of weeks ago. I think it was the same day as Casey Poe. Who are some more logical gets, Cole? Are we forgetting like Jaquan McCroy? Do we know how high he is on Auburn's board?
I'm still trying to figure him out, but he should definitely be on the list here, I think.
Yeah.
If anybody was going to commit, he would be a guy that Auburn could make a push for real fast and get him on board.
Yeah. You have Mason Moose Wade is another guy.
How do we feel about Caleb Holmes?
Yeah, don't know enough about.
You know what, Zach? He was more of a Harsin guy. This staff is not as high on him as the previous staff.
I'll tell you one. I think if they offered and pushed, they could get, and it'd be Khalil House. I think the big offensive guard.
I would have him on my. Yep, there you go, Johnny. I would put Khalil House on my list.
Yeah, because I think they like him. I think they want to see him in camp. But if they offer, I think it could be lights out, over with, done, commitment soon to follow.
I think he told me when he left, maybe it was Cole, but Auburn, it seemed like his dream school. Like, you offer me, it's a done deal.
Yeah.
So I would have him, even though he doesn't have an offer right now, I would put him on my list because, like Jay had said, come June, he comes to camp and does what he needs to do. Auburn offers him. Hell, by the end of the week, he's committed. He was on my defensive line. I'm starting at the top with guys like Jeremiah Beeman, Justin Green. I'm going to go all the way out to the ends on this. Beeman, Green. Drawing a blank,
Ross.
Man. Who?
Jordan Ross. Maybe.
Camarion Franklin.
Is that the kid from Mississippi?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You'd have to.
I'd have to pull up my list, man. I'm drawing a blank.
Did you say Jeremiah Beeman already?
I put Beeman up there.
Okay.
What about Meat Marshall? Is he a Khalil House type guy?
Absolutely, he is. I think.
What about the kid from Pike Road, Mike Blockton?
Malik Blockton.
Malik Blockton. I'm sorry.
I just don't know if they get to him. But with Landon Marshall, guys, he's from Andalusia. Jamarian Fat Burnett is his teammate. They're extremely close friends. And there's a lot of pull when you've got a guy like Jamarian Burnett on your side as far as pulling for an Auburn offer. So I don't know if Auburn will, but he would be a Khalil House of the defensive line, as in, he offered this kid, he's done.
Right. I got two more Mississippi guys in there. Is Terrence Hibbler and Jamonte Waller are two guys to keep an eye on too.
And one last one. I'm trying to get some more intel on this one, but Isaiah Faga from Phoenix City that we offered.
Yeah.
My intrigue is up there for a kid from Central Phoenix City that you offer. I'm currently committed to Utah. I'm interested to see if they get him back on campus, if he's an eval offer or if this is a guy they really want. So that's one I'm going to track as well.
Yeah.
And I know, Jay Lee, you said that you felt better after he visited, but Dylan Stevenson as well at edge.
Yeah, because he's more jacked.
Yeah.
But I mean,
there's also the kid from Michigan who visited with Nick Marsh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wayne.
Yeah.
And
is he going to be going to? Is he going to be going? Are they both going to be going to IMG? Is that the deal on them?
Oh shit! Is Nick Marsh going to IMG?
I think that's what I read, is that he's going to be transferring to IMG.
Interesting.
But I could be wrong on that. I could have that completely backwards.
Defensive line is a little bit tougher. Hell, offensive line is not a cakewalk, but that's a damn good question, Johnny Caldwell.
It is.
That's a damn good question.
Is another guy too that visited Makai Boyro.
Yep, sure did. He's a big old dude.
Alex January is a guy from Texas I've been tracking. He said he's going to visit in April, so that's a guy. There's several. As April's, there's going to be some new visitors in April, I think, that we have to start tracking pretty close.
8 days coming up.
Auburn's leading, or is I think in second, according to the RPM, for Willis McGahee the fourth.
I saw that.
The staff is still pursuing him.
I think that was a big Rock Bellantoni guy.
Yeah, very much so.
I really haven't heard as much about him lately.
I'm really ready for the 2025 class, so that all the offers that we see in the database we know are Hugh Freeze offers, because some of these guys, when I'm looking at this offer list, you know, a lot of them are from last year's staff. It's tough to know how accurate that list is, although you know they do have an Auburn offer, at least from the other staff. But good stuff, Johnny Caldwell. A lot to do on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and we will. We'll be tracking it. We'll see how we stand next week after the 8A game. Who came in? You know what? Next week is Easter Sunday. I don't know if we'll do it.
Probably better served not, I would think. But yeah,
I'm gonna be at my parents'. I don't want to have to cut off the Easter egg hunts to run home. We might just. It might be better off. Dang, I hate to do that though. Maybe we'll do it Monday night, man.
Yeah. We'll let Keith go solo.
Maybe we'll do it Monday night. Monday night would be great. If everybody's okay with that, everybody listening and stuff, man, because I want to talk about the 8A game and who overcame from recruiting, and we want to get all the questions. So we'll tentatively schedule this show next week for Monday night, since it'll be Easter Sunday. Zach, keep us going, big dog.
3365. You're live. Who we talking to? Where you calling from?
Hey, what up, fellas? It's Bo from Moody.
Bo. All right.
How y'all doing, brothers?
Fantastic, Bo. How about yourself, big dog?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Have y'all heard anything about Aiden Holloway decommitting?
No, he's already signed.
He's already signed?
Mm-hmm.
What's this about NIL deal dropped?
Bo, where are you hearing that from?
I've seen it all over the internet, man.
Really? On the corner?
On Twitter or on the corner?
Neither one. It was on Instagram, mostly.
Well, it would take a lot to get out of a NIL. I mean, NLI, National Letter of Intent.
And it had something about Nate Oates at the bottom of it.
Dude, you know what that was, Bo?
What was it?
I believe you might have got taken to the closet by
don't say that, man. Don't say no April Fool's crap, man.
I believe you might have, big dog.
Yeah.
Hey, this thing about y'all said about Hugh Freeze talking about the wide receivers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he said that to, light a fire under him.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees potential in them, and he wants all the potential out of the receivers they can get.
You're gonna need it. I don't think there's a bad way to look at this. If they're gonna pout and go, "Whoa, man, I'm not very good," my coach, then you don't want them anyways. You want a guy who says, "Kiss my ass, big dog. I'm about to show you."
That's right.
Okay. The receivers, who we really in with that's good. That we can really sign.
Now that's a good question. Not that Johnny asked a more difficult question, a more difficult position. This wide receiver group, and we've been touting it, and Jhead was first, but Bo, I believe that Jhead is going to end up being. I was on the Jhead train second, Cole, just so you know.
Where you beating?
But the wide receiver group.
See Coleman coming. I do see that. But other than him.
Okay. Other than Cam Coleman. We're going to get to that, Bo. we had a show, Bo. I don't know if you called it, man. Go check out the YouTube page, and if you're on the YouTube page right now, subscribe to it, like it, and hit those notifications because every time we load up a video, you'll get notified. But Bo, if you'll go look at our YouTube page, Friday's show, the recruiting show, we dedicated to wide receiver recruiting, and we went in depth on that. And you, if you're wondering about wide receivers, you'll love that show. Yeah. And some of the guys we talked about, but Bo, wide receiver recruiting in this class, Jhead was first, but he's expecting a 2001 type class with Ben Obamano, Roma Shadu. I mean, just a jacked class.
Yeah, man.
But some of the other names, who are we forgetting? Cam Coleman, Nick Marsh,
Craver,
Perry Thompson,
Mario Craver, Perry Thompson, the kid Mike Matthews from all these guys have visited in the past 10 days. Just in the last 2 weeks, the visitor list for the wide receiver group has been insane.
And TJ Moore is still trying to get up to visit. I believe he will, given who his head coach is. I'm sure that they'll figure out a way to get him to come up to Auburn.
Nycar. Yeah,
BJ Gibson.
BJ Gibson was there Friday. Didn't get to talk to him, but Bo, I'm telling you, if you're interested in wide receiver recruiting, go check out that recruiting show from Friday. You will absolutely love it. Really good stuff on that.
Okay, Ryan Williams, you think we gonna get him?
I think there's a good chance. I'm starting to lean.
No.
If there is ever going to be a flip,
no.
From
I hope you're watching. If you're watching, Bo, you'll understand me. If you're just listening, I don't know that you'll understand me. But
I'm watching y'all now, bro.
Jhead, say it, because this is what we all feel. If Auburn's going to get a flip.
If Auburn's ever going to get a flip from Alabama, it's going to be Ryan Williams. That's my belief. In the Nick Saban era, if there's ever going to be a flip other than my boy Skinny Pimp, it's going to be Ryan Williams.
The wide receiver position.
Yes.
Okay, what about
the wide receiver position?
Defensive back or whatever it is that's committed to him, that's visited us so many times. What about him?
You talking about Sterling Dixon?
Yeah.
He said, okay.
I don't know a defensive back committed to Alabama.
Maybe talking about
in Bakwe.
Oh, athlete. Okay. Is he a wide receiver?
He's just both, but they like him at DB.
Yeah. No, I don't think they get him.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
All right, brothers. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the bomb, man.
All right, Bomo. Good stuff, big dog. We got anybody online?
Yeah, we got 5 callers.
Great, Dave.
I do have some bad news. Hang on, let me pull up the comment real quick before we get to the next caller. Hogbone broke a tooth, so he said he can't call in tonight.
He's only got 3 left.
Dig that
No.
Hey, go Hogbone.
No.
Those things are valuable to Hogbone, man.
You probably did use that last night, old Hogbone.
Ain't that old timer out, Hogbone?
2428. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is John Caller again from Sharpsburg. Hey guys, what's this about Nick Saban sitting there wanting a limit on NIL and pretty much making it almost like pro football? What's your opinion on that?
All right, Johnny Caldwell.
About something.
Oh, for sure.
Especially
Jhead,
when he can sit there and give them cars like he always does.
It's even
Never
in the
seen
playing
anybody
field.
on a car dealership, him and Julio Jones, and giving them cars and everything. So
Ashley Schaefer, kid.
yes, Gene Jones was the last person that got him in trouble on that shit.
Deuce.
Was it Gene Jones that got him in trouble?
I believe it was Gene Jels.
I think it was. Yeah.
It wasn't anything. It wasn't anything like the Eric Ramsey stuff, but it was.
It's just Auburn. We always pay every player. Cam Newton. They can cry about everything. But anyway, go ahead, guys.
What was his latest complaint with the NIL? I didn't see it.
I haven't seen anything lately. I think Coach Saban is like a lot of coaches that they'd like to see kind of a salary cap or a way to make it a little bit more proportionate or even within a locker room. Just a way to manage it a little bit better. I'm going to be honest with Johnny on that one. I don't think that what Coach Saban is saying is different from a lot of college football coaches as far as their frustration with how this all works, the newness of it, the ability not to be able to regulate it, and the fact that you're dependent on a third party. It's not something that's even being done inside your own university. You're relying on a third party to be able to manage this for you on your behalf, and they don't have control per se, in air quotes, of who's getting what and what they're getting. Right. I think there is some of that. I do think there's booster pressure at certain schools for them to land certain kids, and they're going to do what it takes to be done, whether the coach necessarily wants that player or not. I do think that that's an issue. And I think there's an issue. I think the major thing right now, and Ross Dellinger had a really great piece on this as far as the congressional hearings and everything else. And he's probably the industry source you should follow on this better than anybody, Johnny, because he's been all over it. But it's creating transparency and the same set of rules for every team, and then trying to create transparency of deals so that you know actually what a kid's getting. So when they're setting the market to a degree, it's not a rumor. There's actual fact to substantiate if a kid's getting $600,000, well, you know it's actually real, as opposed to a kid's runner out there going to multiple teams saying, hey, I'm getting this, this, and this. Well, you actually kind of understand and see what the kid's actually getting. So I think that's more of what the NCAA wants. What a lot of people want is transparency and the same set of rules, because various state rules or various state laws are giving certain states advantages. You know, kids in California can sign deals while they're still even in high school, and they can profit from that. I think Nico Iamaleava, that signed with Tennessee this past year, signed a 4-year, $8 million deal while he was still in high school, and was receiving that money on the front end to go ahead and make sure they locked in his signature. So if there's a set of rules that says you can't receive NIL until you actually enroll in a college, that would be more advantageous for everybody involved.
Yeah, that was a big thing with Travis Hunter when he was coming out, because he wasn't allowed to sign an NIL deal, and there was a big, I guess, thing about it.
Yep, because he wasn't technically enrolled. Yeah.
All right, good stuff, JC. Keep us going there.
I'm trying to get in on it.
2792. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Stephen from North Carolina.
All right, Stephen.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, all transparency. I'm a Penn State fan, and I've been following y'all since the Penn State game. I love the show. I love your recruiting. But I just want to ask another NIL question, and I'm listening to a lot of things from On 3 Up for Penn State and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan ain't paying these players like the Southern schools.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still going in there recruiting good. As you see, Penn State just went in there and grabbed somebody out of Florida in the top 100. Why are Auburn fans and SEC fans talking about the money the way they are, instead of just being for the school and for the love of the school? It's all about money in the SEC. I don't get it.
Probably always has been. Here's why, Stephen, in my opinion at least. It's always been about money way before NIL came in. People down here, Big Dog, if you weren't buying the 5 stars, you weren't getting the 5 star. You weren't buying, you weren't signing. And that was kind of understood. I mean, and I'm not saying anybody. I'm saying some schools did it better than others. I'm saying some schools paid more than others. I'm saying some people countered with a lot more than where they were going. And so now it's kind of more out, and it's a little bit more transparent, which is why I think some of these coaches and some of these schools who've been doing well under the table probably don't like NIL as much, because it's, believe it or not, what they've done is they've kind of leveled the playing field. Wouldn't you say, Jhead?
Absolutely. So before, and I know exactly what you're talking about, Jhead. I mean, look, it was a Southeastern Conference situation where you had certain schools within the SEC, the large majority, that had NIL before there was NIL, and then probably a couple other nationally relevant schools like Texas, Oklahoma. And look, Ohio State can tell you they're not paying guys, but they've been paying guys for a long time, man. Look, you know what I mean? But I think that these schools had the infrastructure in place, and now everybody's starting to get that infrastructure in place to be able to make kind of an equivalent payment. And to some people, the NIL option of donation is attractive because it's a tax write-off contingent on the way your NIL collective is set up. So you're getting a little bit larger of a donor base to a degree beyond what you were getting for some of the under-the-table die-hard booster donations that you were getting from some of these Southeastern Conference football teams.
I completely agree. As Pink said, it just means
can
more.
Yeah.
Okay, one more thing.
Sure.
Hey, and your boy Egan Boyer from North Carolina was at Penn State for the whole weekend, and I'm gonna give you this last little tidbit. Jay Waller out of Mississippi, Penn State hit on him really, really early. He's gonna be a Penn State commit. I appreciate it, guys. I love what you do, and I got to say it, we are.
I hear you, big dog. Hey, let me tell you something. I love some Penn State, dude. I actually said back in college, my college baseball coach said, "You will never believe who I think have the best uniforms." And nobody, I said, "Penn State. Penn State got the best college uniforms.
Clean,
son. I love. I love James Franklin. Loved him when he was at Vanderbilt. Love what he's doing at Penn State. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan.
I got some family. They got a bar up there, big Penn State folks. They came down for the Auburn game this year. They loved it, obviously, because Penn State won the game, but they enjoyed that. But, all the Penn State fans that I've met through them, awesome folks.
Yeah.
Nice people, yeah.
And Shaker come in with a $2 tip to you, Pink. We appreciate it, Shaker. And but we ask that you don't tip, man. We do want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's all we want, man. We're trying to get to 6,000. I think we're on 5,500, maybe, Zach. Is that right?
Yeah.
Somebody. So if you hit that subscribe button, man, it's free. It don't cost you $2. Oh, Shaker. Have missed you though, big dog. Have missed you.
I have too, man. Come on back, Shaker.
Come on, Shaker.
Shaker is Mace Hindu.
Oh.
7983. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey guys, it's Nick from Atlanta.
What's up, Nick?
All right.
How's it going? Quick question for you guys. Earlier this week, Hoke reported that what we already know, conversations are going on in the background in terms of potential portal quarterbacks. Any idea other than MJ Morris from NC State, who should be someone we should potentially be looking out for, names that may be seriously being considered? Thanks.
I love it, Nick. I love it because here's why. I don't know. I know we hear. I know Justin's heard MJ Morris. Obviously, nobody's in the transfer. To my knowledge, nobody has even declared their intentions to enter the transfer portal.
Correct.
And that's all you can do right now is if somebody were to enter the transfer portal at this point, it's, hey, I'm going to come May 1st. MJ Morris is one name. Is the only name we've heard. Obviously, Grayson McCall, people are wondering about him. I've checked every once in a while, and I was told no. But who knows, dude? There was some chatter. I don't know if it was an April Fool's joke or not about Bo Nix coming back to Auburn. But it's all going to be a whirlwind, a chaotic whirlwind of conjecture.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go ahead, Cole.
One thing we did say, I think we've been asked that maybe on the last show or something of that nature, but the one thing we did say is look at all these. There's a lot of quarterback battles going on in the spring, and people are going to lose those battles. Good quarterbacks are going to lose those battles. So be on the lookout for maybe Ohio State, who's got like 3 5-star guys battling it out. One of those guys is probably not going to want to sit there if they're all around the same age. So those are the places I would look, and I'm sure that Auburn has already, they've already done their due diligence in knowing where those are happening.
Sure. And look, I would chalk anything you hear of, even, MJ Morris's name right now, pal.
Right.
It's all fan conjecture to a degree. And look, I think that's healthy. I think that's a good thing to be that passionate about.
Sure.
Auburn football that, you're looking for names, and names are, somebody's posting something to a message board or whatever. But until they enter the portal, until May 1st, and we see those names actually start to populate, don't put too much stock into anything. Just, let it ride and realize that, sometimes things get said and it's not always necessarily an accurate depiction of the truth. So.
And here's my thing on that, Nick, and I feel bad. I feel bad for guys like MJ Morris whose names get leaked because now he's having to deal with that at NC State. He's trying to win the quarterback battle over there, and now everybody's asking him, "Oh, we're hearing rumors that you might enter the transfer portal." So I hate that, and but I understand it. I mean, it's part of my job to give you names.
Yep.
Doesn't mean I have to like it. But those are that's the only name I've heard so far, MJ Morris, or somebody to keep an eye on, right? I mean, we'll figure this out in about 3.5 more weeks. I'm sure you're going to start getting some after A-Day games, after spring games. Kids are going to start declaring their intentions to enter the transfer portal. That's when things are going to start getting heated up.
Right. The cheat code is always looking at first-year head coaches coming in.
Oh yeah,
QB battles. Those are always the key to figure out who's going to be in the portal. Because if you don't win with a first-year head coach and they bring in their guy, the backups are usually out.
Case in point, Auburn.
Yeah.
That's how TJ Finley got here, right?
Yep.
And you got to think whoever Auburn's going to have guys leave. Auburn's going to have at least one quarterback leave.
It seems like it. And
we think Auburn may get 2 quarterbacks in the portal. Oh, Hugh Rayleigh says, do an on-3 cap giveaway. Okay, drawing every week. Subscribers will go up on the YouTube channel. We want the subscribers on the YouTube channel. I'm going to write that down, Hugh Rayleigh.
I like that, Hog.
Who?
That's Hogbug.
That's Hogbug.
Is it really?
Yeah.
He had to type because he can't talk.
Yeah.
Oh, Hogbo.
So 0415, you're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Chase from Adamsville.
Adamsville, big dog. I'm from Forestdale.
Oh, okay. That's close, man. That's close. Right there by each other.
What's on your mind tonight, Chase from Adamsville?
Hey, I was just calling to ask about that defensive line, guys. It's just something that nobody's talking about a whole lot, and it's just as I was watching Auburn this past season, it was just absolutely just terrible, and just teams are just running on us, kind of like how they wanted to in the SEC play and different things, and just coming up this season with how it's going and how it's looking, I just don't see that changing at all. And if Auburn has any chance of just winning 8 to 9 games this season, I just feel like that defensive line just has to change, and we have to get bodies in there through this transfer portal and different things like that.
Well, so the best defensive lineman coming out so far we're hearing the most about is Justin Rogers from not Nebraska, but from Kentucky. Chase, let me ask you a question, big dog. How old are you?
25.
25. You still a pup. Yeah, you don't remember Kemp's Barbershop and all that back in the day, man. Adamsville used to have some stores, dude.
Kim's Barbershop.
Kemp's,
that's
man.
Where I used to get my hair cut out whenever I was about 5, 6 years old.
Really?
Yes, sir. Yep. Is that the little barbershop right there in the middle of, Adamsville? It has kind of like a little small little mall there, and right there.
Yeah, a little strip mall there, right in the middle.
Yep.
There was 3 brothers,
Yep.
Ronnie and Johnny and Jimmy and the Kemp brothers, man. Kemp brothers, boy, get you high and tight, boy. $8.
Yes, sir. I remember them. Yep. I used to get my haircut there by them whenever I was real young.
All right. Good stuff. Chase, you go to Minor?
No, sir. Right before I was getting into Bottenfield, my mom moved me. She moved me up to Hayden. She didn't kind of want to go in there.
I hear you.
Different things.
Hayden, good people up there too. I played
Yes,
ball
sir.
with some
Yes,
boys
sir.
from Hayden.
They sure are. But yeah, I was just, I know we probably ain't going to get anybody soon like the Derek Browns and the Nick Farleys, but I just feel like the Harris and I know we have Colby coming back, I believe,
no,
to average, I think, 6 sacks
Kobe Wooden's gone.
But I mean, just I just definitely feel like it has to change with the defensive line if we want to have those seasons like how we want, where we get 10 wins plus.
Hey, listen, nobody's a bigger advocate than the defensive line than me. Yep. And when you come, so what are we hearing about the defensive line, fellas? Jason Jones, Marcus Harris,
Keldrick Falk.
Keldrick freaking Falk.
Keldrick, yeah, we hear about every coach talks about Keldrick, man. They all
Jeffrey
say
Imba.
He's coming up. He's coming up.
Justin Rogers.
Yep, Justin Rogers is he's always repeated by every coach.
How about the kid from Vanderbilt? He's a grown-ass man. He ain't no kid.
He's Elijah McAllister.
Elijah McAllister.
You know what? He's probably going to be the starter at Jack, I think.
Yeah.
And Keldrick Falk rotates, but they probably play about the same. Corey asking about Dylan Brooks there. I don't hear as much about him. I think he's going to be in the mix at Jack. That's the best I can tell you there.
You look at what Georgia's done the last 2 years with their freaking defensive line.
Everybody.
Yeah, man.
I tell you what, my britches move when I see that. I mean, my goodness, dude.
Who was the kid that exploded during the playoffs? Was it Michael Williams? That exploded late in the season as a true freshman, and he's going to probably be a monster this year.
So this is my thought, and Cole, you tell me if you agree. I think the actual functional depth is better this year than it was last year.
Definitely.
I think we don't have the high end of what we had last year with Colby and with Derek.
Right.
So I think they're going to have to attack things through numbers. You're going to have to rotate bodies, keep everybody fresh, and then you're going to have to figure out a way to create a pass rush. And that's the one thing that does scare me about this defensive line. I think against the run, they're going to be solid. I honestly do. I think if you rotate enough bodies, you attack it the right way from a scheme standpoint, you're going to be okay. But I don't see an interior pass rusher, a natural interior pass rusher or disruptor other than Deron Payne. I think he's probably not Deron Payne, Deron Reed. I think he is your most gifted
who is
natural pass. Yeah, who's not there is going to be your most gifted natural interior pass rusher from day one. And they'll figure out a way to get him involved. I believe that. And then Keldrick Falk is your best pass rusher on the exterior. So you're going to be young in your pass rush situations or with the guys that have the most talent, and that's not necessarily where you want to be. But from a run standpoint, I think Elijah McAllister is going to set the edge very well from that Jack linebacker position. I think guys like Masili Kite, Justin Rogers from Kentucky, Jason Jones. If Mbus takes a step forward, that could be a huge lift for us. And then the kid that transferred in from Kansas a couple years ago, you already said him, Jeffrey.
Marcus.
Marcus Harris. So I think they're going to be – go ahead, Cole.
When we talked to Jeremy Garrett, roundtable style or whatever, he talked about Marcus Harris as, he's going to be the guy picking up the slack for the young, besides Elijah McAllister, Jack group, the pass rushers. He's a guy that can provide it. They said he's coming along as a pass rusher, because I think they're worried about the pass rush too a little bit, to be honest. And it kind of flipped because that was pretty good on the team last year, but they suffered some in the run game. Now you look at Justin Rogers being in the middle. That guy takes up a double team and doesn't get moved at all. A guy like Masili Kite, you won't hear his name that much, but he eats up blocks really well. And that's the thing. You're not going to hear Justin Rogers' name, Masili Kite, maybe even Marcus Harris all that much. Jason Jones, they're going to be in the middle doing the dirty work, and that's what Auburn was missing, in my opinion, last year. But you got to come on with that pass rush, and that's going to be the hard part. That's where I'm working too, man.
Let me ask you guys, if you had to pick right now in April who Auburn's sack leader is going to be next year, who would you guys pick? Because I would lean Keldrick Falk. I know he's a true freshman. I wouldn't be surprised if he led the team in sacks next year.
I can't argue with you. I mean, who else you picking? Who are some candidates? Marcus Harris.
I would say Marcus Harris or Masili Kite. I think those are the two guys.
You like Masili Kite that much?
Yeah, he's.
I think he's.
Oh, really?
I think he's got some twitch to him, Jay Lee.
Okay.
I honestly do. I watched some of his tape from Maryland, and I think he had 4.5 sacks his junior year, I believe. So he's got some twitch.
He's a shorter guy, by the way. If y'all have seen him.
So okay, Zach, I'm gonna piggyback on your question to Jhead and Cole because they know a lot more. Give me 3 guys that absolutely Auburn's sack leader will come from this group. 3. Are you going to put Elijah McAllister in there?
Yes, I'd have to. I'd have to for that. I'm thinking, and Joseph Ballard in the comments there, Jeffrey Imba is it possible? He's going to play on the end. Not exactly Jack, but he's going to be a strong side end. I'm trying to find guys here. Honestly, I'm having trouble with this.
I'm going to tell you this. My overall sack leader, I don't believe is going to be a defensive lineman or even an outside linebacker. I think it's going to be Austin Keys. And they're going to use him in a variety of different blitzing situations, probably in a zone blitz type situation where you can drop that outside linebacker back.
What about Cam?
The
boy from Tuscaloosa. Cam Riley.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll do this. We've done this for another position. I think one of those 3 is not on the roster yet.
Okay. You think Deron Reed?
Well, no.
You think maybe another transfer?
Not him as on the roster, Deron Reed.
Okay.
To me, Deron Reed's not going to be the guy that comes in and is a prolific pass rusher early on. He's sort of a just wreaking havoc kind of guy. He may not know what's going on, but you're going to throw him in there just because he can just cause chaos.
Create negative plays, absolutely.
We've talked about this, and young guys, they want to play. They gotta know what's going on, and that's the hard part, right? Learning what to do, learning the speed, except for the defensive line. If you can cause chaos as a young defensive lineman, you will play. There's no doubt.
I tell you what. Go ahead, Jhead. Give me your 3.
If we're going pure defensive line, sack leaders.
Who's going to lead the team in sacks? Give me 3 names. One of them is going to lead the team.
All right. I'm going to go Marcus Harris.
That's a good pick.
Austin Keys, Keldrick Falk. Situationally, I think we'll get home.
Yeah, he comes in middle of the season, starts getting a lot more playing time, ends up with 6.5 sacks.
Right.
I hear you. Let me tell you something. The 2000. I love an interior defensive lineman. You talking about the pass rush from the end. That's why y'all can have your 2010 Cam Newton. Y'all can have him all day long, dude. Give me the 2010 Nick Fairley. Oh my goodness, y'all don't understand how important that dude was. People think, generational talent at quarterback. Of course, dude. You talking about a generational talent? That was on the other side of football.
Or even Derek Brown. What was it, 2017? Yes. I mean, he almost single-handedly beat LSU that year with Joe Burrow because he was just causing that much chaos.
You give me a Lombardi Award winner on the defensive line of scrimmage than a Heisman Award winner on the offensive line. I mean, on the offense. That just personally for me. Derek Brown, Nick Fairley, Tracy Rocker, those just badass great. I love it. Love it.
2010 defense. I mean, not great. But when they needed a play, when they needed a stop, it didn't matter if it was a pass rush from Nick Fairley or, plugging up the middle, whatever he had to do, he was going to do it. And the same with Derek Brown. I think it was maybe 2019, Zach, when he was there for a while. But I think that was the year when he was he had that awesome game against LSU.
Florida.
Awesome game against Florida where he tripped on grass, almost about to score. But, yeah, man. That was the difference, and that will always be the difference. I don't care how much football changes. You have to have a guy like that.
And I tell you what, speaking of 2010, Ted Roof did not light it on fire that year from a defensive standpoint. But the adjustment he made to the bare front to be able to free up Nick Fairley, and we were solid up the middle because you had Josh Bynes behind him, and then you had Zach Etheridge and Mike McNeil back there at your safety positions. And that's what allowed the flexibility of that defense to be able to gamble at times and make the plays they had to make. So you're right, Jay Lee. I think when a defense is solid up the middle that way, regardless of whatever the other moving parts are, that typically you have a chance to be successful or to, at a minimum, create, game-changing type plays.
And you remember when Auburn went back to the national championship, correct me if I'm wrong, was that not Jeff Holland?
No, that was
17.
17 when we went to the SEC championship.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
D Ford.
D
Yeah.
Ford,
Ford
so
was-
outside pressure. But you had Gabe Wright on the interior on that team. You had who's the big kid from Delaware that played in the NFL for several years?
Oh gosh, he came down from oh gosh. I can see his face.
Oh, I know, man. I know it's killing me right now.
Somebody
But
in the
you had-
comments, y'all know the answer to that. Who's
And
that?
in 17, it was Dontravius Russell, right? That played D tackle next to
DT.
Holland.
So
Name's cool.
17, yes. We were talking 13, but
Yeah.
17, yeah. So you had Jeff Holland on the outside, you had Derek Brown on the interior, you had
Oh, my
Marlon
God.
Davidson on the outside,
Oh,
and then
my
you had Dontavius Russell on the interior at your nose tackle position.
Is it Blackson?
There you
Yes,
go.
Angelo Blackson. So you had
My
Angelo
man.
Blackson, yeah, and Gabe Wright on the
Talk about-
interior.
Montravius too. Montravius
Oh,
Adams
forgot
had
about
some
him.
years.
He
where-
was a freshman that year. That's right. And Carl Lawson off the edge as well. Carl Lawson got
Oh, my
two big
goodness.
sacks. What was it, the Alabama game where he just came up and stuffed
Yes.
somebody?
Also on that team, Jeff Whitaker and Ben Bradley were two other guys that rotated heavily.
Good call, Cole. Good call.
Man, those defensive linemen of the
we were
Carl
loaded.
Lawson was a freshman that year.
Yeah.
and cannot forget the D Fords. And Jeff Holland with that 1 year, he was just Corey Lemonier.
Yes. And I tell you what,
No
who's
see.
the big offensive tackle for Ole Miss that Hugh Freeze coach that just signed that mega deal in the
Tunzel.
NFL?
No, no.
Yes. Jeremy Tunzel.
Laramie.
Laramie Tunzel. I'm sorry, not Jeremy. Laramie. Laramie Tunzel was on record that year that Carl Lawson is the defensive lineman he hated playing more than anybody. And I watched him put Tunzel on skates when he was full speed.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy was something else, man.
He was, man.
Auburn had some badass pass rushers in the last 10 years, haven't they?
Just been dips and it just been valleys with it, where you had
Yeah.
like a good one and then you go for 3 years. You know what I mean?
Even throughout the mid 2000s, because you can go back to Quentin Groves too under Tuberville.
McClover.
Yep.
Oh, the Predator. Yeah. Loved him. Till Stanley went on
R.I.P. Hugh
HBO, but
Groves.
whatever. Yeah.
In this 2013 roster right now, we were talking about how Kobe
Zach,
Wood.
do we have anybody on the line? I'm sorry.
We got 4 callers. Sorry.
Oh, okay, man. Let's hit it, big dog. We're reminiscing, man.
Yeah.
Hey, well, all right. Let's keep them going. We got good stuff, Chase.
5820. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is P. Beasley from Sandy Springs, Georgia.
P.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
What was your name?
Gotcha. P. Beasley from
P-
Sandy Springs, Georgia.
Okay, P. Beasley.
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
Are you any kin to Pam?
No, not quite. Not quite.
Oh, what's on your mind tonight, P?
Not much. I like to dive, the talk y'all went on the defensive line. I was going to kind of flip the script, and this might be a question for Jhead and Cole. But I kind of want to talk about our running game going into next season. I watched a lot of old tape on Hugh. Well, let me step back. Obviously, to have success in this league, you want to be in the top 5 in rushing offense to really compete for championships in this league and be one of the more physical teams is going to equate to a success. And, watching Hugh Freeze from his time at Ole Miss, I never saw a dominant running game. Now, he goes out and he gets Philip Montgomery, who had a lot of success at Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously with RG3 and, learning under Art Briles, they were very successful up there, with the wide splits for the wide receivers, kind of playing a number of games, inside the box to really achieve that success. But Jhead and Cole, will y'all kind of dive in and, get y'all's thoughts on what you project our running game looking like under the Hugh Freeze era with Philip Montgomery coming in? Maybe explain the differences between what Gus ran and what we're probably going to see coming up this season. Obviously,
we're going to run out of the shotgun, incorporate some RPOs, but kind of just talk about our running scheme and the blocking schemes. Because me being an old school guy, me going my first game in '92, watching James Bostic run, and I like to see offense smash some skulls every Saturday, and I want to make sure I'd like to see us continue that tradition of dominating on the ground going forward. But hey, I appreciate you guys, and looking forward to your answer.
Appreciate it. Yeah, man, that's a good question. I think it's fair because the running game numbers aren't as flashy as maybe one would think when you look at his offenses. And obviously the recipe for success at Auburn over the years has been a strong running game. Well, I'll tell you what I do see when I look at Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery's offenses. They understand personnel really well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And if you look at Auburn's personnel right now, it lends towards running the football. Now, they want to incorporate the passing game and do more of that than maybe we've seen in recent years, and they're going to. But they realize the hosses are the backs. Jarquez Hunter, Damari Austin, Brian Battie. They didn't bring that guy in who was a 1,000-yard rusher elsewhere not to use him. All right, they're going to use that stable pretty well. And as far as the scheme, Jhead, I'll let you talk more on that. But I've seen a lot of gap scheme from these guys mixed with the zone scheme, which if you followed Gus Malzahn, and he was zone heavy because he realized he couldn't do the gap schemes with his offensive line anymore toward the end. You have to have a powerful offensive line to do that stuff, the powers, the counters. If you don't, you go to the zones. Well, I've seen it practice. I've seen them doing the gap scheme stuff, so they might feel like they have a little bit more beef, on the offensive line to be able to do that. More than anything, though, to me, is it all centers around the RPO game, and it may not be a run read. It may not be a run read all the time. In other words, it's a screen read or it's the slant. It's going to go for whatever they're giving us. We're going to try to do that. That's what I think. And if that means that they throw it 80 times a game, they'll do it that way.
I tend to agree, Cole. And to our caller's point with regard to Hugh Freeze's offenses at Ole Miss, you got to think that a lot of his decision-making when he first got to Ole Miss, that was a putrid roster. And they had to basically accentuate the talent that they had on that roster and play to their strength and what they could recruit to. And at that point, it was easier to recruit wide receivers to Ole Miss than it was to recruit running backs that you could feature in a gap scheme type running game, because there are only so many running backs to go around that your Auburns and Alabama and Georgias and several other SEC schools were already recruiting. So Hugh Freeze did what he does best. He adapted and he realized, hey, if I can have a high octane passing attack and feature wide receivers, well, you know what, I can up the talent level and be able to take advantage in that part or accentuate that facet of what it is that I want to do by manipulating it with a heavy RPO overlay. Now, back to what Cole said, I think they're going to take advantage to the roster that they presently have on the roster, and it's definitely there's more talent currently, in my honest opinion, in the running back room than there's on any other, maybe in the tight end room and the running back room. Those are your two spots that I feel the best about your current offense. And I think they're going to accentuate those two things. As far as what you're going to see from a concept standpoint, I think you're going to see a healthy amount of gap scheme with counter, duo. I think in the zone game, you're going to get some split zone. I think you're going to get some outside zone to kind of stretch the field. I think you're going to see wide splits from the wide receivers to create a wider surface to a degree so that you can't overpopulate the box. So they'll try to take advantage and do probably what's in the best interest of our offensive line. To me, it really depends on the interior and how the guards play to how much gap scheme you're going to see. Because I think they would love to. I think Philip Montgomery in his heart, look, dude, they don't call it the veer and shoot Baylor offense for no reason. Okay. They would love to run it down your throat in a power scheme. But do we have the offensive lineman, particularly the interior offensive line to really do that? I don't know. But like I said, I do think you're going to see some duo. I think you're going to see some counters. You'll see some power. And then from the zone, some split zone, maybe some power read from the quarterback, contingent on if it's Robbie back there. If it's one of the other quarterbacks, obviously it's going to be significantly different. But watch the RPO overlay, how they probably tag a route on each and every run concept that they have, how they take advantage of that with regard to putting the defense in conflict. That's really what you want to pay attention to from a scheme standpoint, is making sure that you have options and outlets on each and every run play. That's going to be how they tag that. And if Gus had done that, if he had utilized the RPO the way that Hugh Freeze does it, he might still be coaching at Auburn right now. I'm being that honest.
Yeah,
I don't think Hugh had a running back that really does what Jarquez can do either, because I do think Petit will be interesting, because if you remember, I think it was Jalen Watson.
Yeah.
The kid that he had at Ole Miss that is built very similar to Petit. It was explosive on special teams, and I believe he finished like second all time at Ole Miss in all-purpose yards. And so I think Petit is going to be someone to really be interested to see how they use him in the offense, because he used Watson in so many different ways at Ole Miss.
I agree.
That was Walton, Zach. That was the guy that he threw the wheel route to against Bama to beat them, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, good call on that one.
No, you're right, Zach. I think Damari Alston and Jarquez Hunter are tailor-made for what Philip Montgomery wants to do on offense. I firmly believe that. I love the vision on both those backs and how they fit. Now, I think the freshman we got coming in is probably the most physically talented, but I think he's got a ways to go from understanding concepts on offense as far as being patient and when to hit the hole to a degree.
Fantastic stuff there, PBs. Appreciate you calling, man. Zach, keep us going a bit. We got 3 more callers we'll get to.
Yep. 8148. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Going on, fellas? This is Big C from Montgomery.
Big C.
Got 3 words. Just got 3 words, fellas.
War damn Eagles. Yes, sir.
War damn Eagles. Y'all have a good night.
Appreciate you, Big C. Best caller of the night.
Good stuff.
Bro, I just see Takeo spikes when he says that. You know what I mean? That's what I see when Big C calls it.
Big C keeps it PG-13. Takeo,
yeah, he does.
Straight, little radar.
Yeah, he did.
He's been on hold for like 20 minutes. So shout out for him for hanging on the call line to give us that.
Big C. Big, how about you to Big C?
Yes. 5960. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
What's going on, fellas?
Hey, what's up, brother?
What's going on, fellas?
There he is.
Edward, what we doing, man?
Man, just life doing right now, man. Just really wasn't going to call in tonight. Wasn't really, in the mood. Grandmother passed on Tuesday. I was like my mother, so it's been a hard time, man. But lo and behold, I tune in and I hear Jeffrey Lee talking about somebody got his britches moving and all that.
Oh, Edward, seriously, man, sorry to hear about your grandmother.
Yeah.
Hey, man, when they say Auburn family, man, I just feel like, I ain't been knew y'all guys 2 or 3 months calling in, man. I feel like, I've been knowing y'all all my life, man. That would make Auburn the greatest place in history, because no matter where I go in the world, I see somebody with an Auburn hat, Auburn shirt, I can holler War Eagle, and that'll turn into an hour conversation. I never met this person a day in my life, but I just had a couple points I wanted to talk about, man. First point is, hey, man, if y'all ain't subscribed to Auburn Live, and really, what are y'all doing? Because you're missing out on the best content possible. I've been on Auburn 247, nothing against them guys, but I've been subscribed to them 10 years faithfully. But the amount of content I'm getting over here at Auburn Live, man, is unmatched.
Appreciate you, Edward.
I don't necessarily think we need a transfer quarterback. I'm going to say we need one for depth purposes. I'm not still sold on we just need one to come in and be a day one starter for us, because I put my money on Holden. I don't know what happened to TJ. He probably going to end up transferring if he don't win it or don't see an opportunity to win it. But I want to remind you of something. This Hank Brown kid coming in, I'm not saying he going to come in and start, but follow me where I'm going with this.
Okay.
This is a guy that Hugh Freeze handpicked. Not only did that Hank Brown not your normal freshman quarterback coming on campus, Hank Brown was taught how to play quarterback by Trent Dilfer, man. A QB, a guru. to understanding a lot of things that a lot of these guys struggling with now, the RPO, Hank Brown already understand that concept. There was a guy that Hugh picked specifically. He told you he don't recruit quarterbacks that he hasn't seen throw the ball. I'm not saying he's going to come in and start, but I think that he's that missing link to what we got currently on the roster. He's like a lighter fluid, I'm going to call it, because he's finna come in this summer and he really going to light a fire up under somebody, man. The cream of the crop, he's going to ride.
That's right.
I just want to hang up and let y'all guys talk.
I like that.
Man. Y'all have a good night.
Appreciate you, Edward. You'll be in our thoughts, big dog. Appreciate
Yes.
you, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you more than you know. Hey,
Good stuff.
I'm not opposed to Edward's thoughts here.
I'm not either.
Is he basically saying Holden, Hank could be two of your top three on the depth chart going into the fall? Bringing in this is just his theory, right? This is Edwards having those two guys, Robbie, TJ. Listen, if those two guys don't win the starting job, I expect them both to leave. I think they've had enough. They want to go play somewhere. They're not going to play here. If you're not winning it now, TJ, if you're not winning it now, Robbie, where's there for you to go?
Yeah. Well, I think the main point Edward wanted to put out there was with Hank, whether he was a highly rated guy or not. Number one, he played for Trent Dilfer. Dude knows exactly how to coach a quarterback. And so does Hugh Freeze, Philip Montgomery, and Ken Austin. And they picked that guy. Okay. They picked him at Liberty. And they said, you know what? We're going to Auburn. We still think you can come play here. I think that was a great point. Now, I'm with him. I don't think he's going to come in and start yet. But he makes a good point again, saying he's going to light a fire under somebody because he's going to be good when he gets in there. He's going to know what's going on.
He's going to be serviceable.
Yeah. Right. So that's your hand-picked guy for this staff, and you're wondering what kind of guy they want. They took a guy who's maybe a little bit more of a pocket passer. Okay. Well, who's more of the pocket passer on the roster right now? Holden Geriner. So maybe he lends more to what they're trying to do here. And RPO, you hear RPO and you go, oh, you got to have a runner. Well, that's not exactly what it means.
No.
It means you've got to have a reader. Okay, somebody who can read it. He can stand still. He doesn't ever have to take a step if he can read it right. That's what it is.
Watch Aaron Rodgers in the NFL in the RPO game and how lethal he is. And he's not an elite runner by any means, but he's a guy that completely understands what the read should be and where the receiver is going to be should he decide, to utilize that option in the passing game. So for those that like Cole said, that think that read option is, or RPO is you got to have an elite athlete. No, you need somebody with vision that understands the concepts and where everybody's supposed to be on the field. That's what you need.
Right.
Good stuff, Edward. Appreciate you, big dog.
That helps if you're an elite athlete.
Last caller, 0990. You're live. Who we talking to? Where you calling from?
This is Patrick from Bruton, Alabama. How we doing?
Oh, Patrick from Bruton, Alabama. W.S. Neal territory, Jared Cooper territory.
T.R. Miller territory.
That's close to old fat person.
That's the one.
Well, what's on your mind tonight, Pat?
So my biggest question is, I think it's a very interesting time for Hugh to come in because it looks like we're missing leadership on the defense. We're young, a lot of new guys in. Who stands out for you and who's going to be the leader this year? I know we want to see Cam Riley step up. Big guy, right down the road, in Evergreen for me. I got to see him play in high school. He's been someone we wanted to step up with the size. Is it Woodyard? I mean, who's going to be the Justin Rogers? Who's going to be the guy you're praying for on 4th and 1 to make the stop when you need it? That's my big thing there. And then offensively, it's kind of the same thing. We're missing leadership on the offensive end. We want that. And Edward just came on and said Holden Geriner. And that's my biggest thought is Hugh said his things he's listed was he wanted consistency, he wanted maturity, and he wanted accuracy. Now, we haven't seen Holden play. Now, our quarterback play last year didn't look like any three of those things to me.
Right.
And that's my biggest concern. That's what makes me think Holden Geriner personally, or even Hank Brown now, mentioning him. I love Robbie. I think he wants to win everything, but maturity was lacking a little bit last year. His accuracy was lacking a little bit too. That's just my thoughts on it. I'd like to hear, who y'all think is going to be the leader on both sides of the ball this year.
Patrick, fantastic analysis. I thought I agree with just about everything you said there. If I didn't catch everything, but okay, leader of the defense. Now hold on. I thought Evergreen was. Is it not south of Tuscaloosa?
It's south of Montgomery.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
So you're thinking Hillcrest. So there is a Tuscaloosa
Okay.
Hillcrest, and then there's Evergreen, and there's Hillcrest High School right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
Hillcrest Evergreen. Yep.
Yeah.
Cam Riley, I don't want to forget about him. And we were talking about the sack leaders.
Mhm.
That's why I thought he needed to be at least mentioned. Where's he playing?
We got to talk to Cam Riley the other day, actually. He said he's playing inside and out, which means Mike and Will.
Yeah.
Oh.
But Ron Roberts also sort of hinted at this. They are going to work him in at Jack at some point. I don't know if they've done much of that yet, but they want to do that. And I'm reading the tea leaves as somebody who's been around the game of football a little bit. When we talked to Ron Roberts, the defensive coordinator, he said, I got to have my linebackers more vocal. He said, that's the problem right now. Got to have them more vocal. And then when we talked to Cam Riley, he said, yeah, I got to be more vocal. So they want a linebacker to be that guy, Patrick. They want a linebacker to be the leader, all right, of this defense. And usually that's the case. The linebacker's the quarterback of the defense, right? So Cam Riley is not really the vocal guy, and he'll tell you that. I'm not the vocal guy, never really have been, he said, I'm fixing to be. So maybe Cam Riley is the guy, and that's the guy they're looking at and going, you're kind of playing everywhere for us. You have that ability. We believe you got that ability. Be a little bit more physical, and you're going to be okay, and be more vocal. It's funny how that confidence with being more vocal can lend you to be more physical. It's just confidence. It really is.
Do you think the leader of the defense has to come from the front seven?
No.
See, I'm almost with you, Zach. I almost – I hear you. I listen. I don't think there's a wrong answer to that question. But I understand that because that's what kind of – because I'm thinking leader of the defense, and I automatically went to the front seven. Who's in that front seven? Who's got the experience in that front seven? Who's got the game time? Marcus Harris. Then I'm going –
first thought.
Yeah, Marcus Harris. And then I'm going, well, what about DJ James? What about, the defensive backs? And I thought, sure. But so
it's hard though if you think about it, because like I played offensive line, so did Cole. If it's hard to be a leader when you're out on an island as a corner, like if DJ James is out there or back at safety, it's hard to be a leader because to communicate to the defensive line, you need a guy in the middle of the defense or in that front seven because you're right there. I can't see a corner as a leader. Like I never looked at elite corners as leaders of defenses.
So for me, I think a safety can when they're making all the checks and all the calls in the back end because I mean, we just talked about 2010. Zach Etheridge was without question a leader on that defense. I mean, I think him and Josh Bynes had full command of that defense, and those were the guys that made all the checks and all the calls. So I think Jalen Simpson can be that guy this year in the secondary. I firmly do. I think he's got the skill set to do it, and he's got the mind to do it. In the front seven, I think it's probably going to have to be Austin Keys. But the guy to me that sticks out from what I've been able to pick up, and the guy I think it could be by the end of the year is Robert Woodyard. That's the guy I ultimately believe could be the guy. I think he's the most naturally talented linebacker we've got. And I did mean to mention this when we were talking about outside pass rushers earlier, Jack. Powell Gordon, watch out for that. Okay. If he adds weight, he is an absolute natural pass rusher off the edge. I firmly believe he's somebody that could get into the mix if he can add the adequate amount of weight. I do.
And I said about what I said about Cam Riley and Ron Roberts talking about that. I said that because they're obviously not getting that from them right now, the linebackers.
Right.
And they have a preference that the linebacker is that guy, right? And they're not getting it right now. So Jalen Simpson's a great pick there, Jhead. And I'll tell you what, from being at practice, the most vocal guy is Jason Jones. That dude he's the guy that now I've been critical of him. I think he's got pushed around at times last year. I still hold true to that. but the guy's vocal and he wants to win, and I think he's getting better. I really do.
Got the right kind of mentality for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think my leader mentally, I'm going, somebody's got to be in the middle of that defense running everything. You can't be out here on the island on man coverage going, let's go, everybody, whatever, dude. Hey, what happened? What is that? Hey, man, you got him? Hey, we need somebody in the heart of that defense. Offensively, you got to think it's not going to come from the offensive line. There's going to be a whole offensive line revamp.
Yep.
Shit.
Jarquez Hunter's the leader on that offense.
By default, really, right?
Yeah. He's the guy that sets the tone for what they want to do. He does. I mean, look, when you hear the coaches talk about Jarquez, he does everything the way they want it to be done.
Yeah.
Everything. From the way he carries himself off the field to the way he prepares for class to what he does on the field. Everything that he does, how he interacts with fans, he sets the tone for what they want to be. I don't think they have a quarterback right now. Look, I love Robbie. I think he's one of the most competitive guys I've ever seen, but you can't act like Norman Bates on the sideline when you throw an interception. You know what I mean?
Dude, you got to have your teammates respect, right?
Right.
I think Luke Deal is a
yes.
Those tight ends, Tyler Fromm.
Yes.
I think those are some experienced guys who have respect of their teammates and know how to be a leader.
Yes.
Jeremiah Wright is the guy.
Jeremiah Wright
plays. Yes.
Just walks around like he's, it's just, you can see it. You can just
love that kid, dude. And that's Edwards' neck of the woods.
That's right.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Jeremiah
it is from
Wright.
Selma, Alabama. Sure is.
We
we
probably share hunting land with him, don't we, Edward? his land rubs up against ours.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some options there, and you need some, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You need a whole council. If we're being honest, you need a group of guys that when things start to go sideways, and they will. Look, this is year one of a regime change. There's going to be some adversity, but you need a group of guys that can tether themselves to the rest of this group and say, look, we're not going to go back to doing things the way we were. We're going to do what the coaching staff is asking us to do. We're all in.
That's right.
You know what I mean? We're not going to go because that's what happened when you lose and you had a coaching change. Guys like, look, man, I used to do it this way and it worked for me. So I'm going to go back to, we need you this way. We need you to do what they're asking us to do.
No, by the end of the season, by the midpoint of the season, you're hoping your center is pulling all his offensive line. He's the leader you're hoping your quarterback has established himself and he's earned the respect of his teammates and everybody's listening to him and everybody, there's your committee. Now you've got a pretty good committee on both sides of the football. You got your Austin Keys over there on defense. You need a linebacker to step up and be a very vocal leader of the defense. But as it stands now, you're going to have to default to some of these guys who are returning with some experience, with respect of their teammates, and guys that you would expect to be a good leader, vocally and physically.
I'll give some props too, because you don't win the starting center job if you're not trusted by coaches. First of all, now he's probably going to be one of the guards, and because they got Avery Jones in there. They like him, okay? Coaches trust him. They think he's going to be a good player. Hugh Freeze likes him. And Jeremiah Wright told us an interesting story. He said he was like the only guy that did not go home during the Christmas break, which is about the time when Hugh Freeze and his staff started, getting into the complex and their offices. And he said, this was from Jeremiah Wright. He said, I went every single day and hung out with them in their offices and helped them move stuff in and did all that. He said, that's how I spent my Christmas break. And he said, I wouldn't change anything. He said, I got to know those guys and they love me. They love me now.
That's awesome.
But that's just his personality, right? He's just got that kind of that. Same with Jarquez Hunter. We always see him helping with recruits and things of that nature and taking his time to do stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that coaches are just going to cling to. It just is.
Oh, lowly 3-star Jeremiah Wright, who nobody was excited about when he committed to Auburn.
Yeah.
Except for Jhead.
Except for Jhead. Love me some boys from Selma.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, you know what? I knew we were going to have a fantastic show. We had 12 calls, 11 different callers. Johnny Caldwell probably passed out right now. 360 people watching and only 74 likes, Blake. Get on their ass, Blake. Come on, folks. Let's get them thumbs up. We appreciate it, man. We appreciate it. Oh, Shacker Shaker. Although we do only ask that you subscribe, man. Hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Hit that like button according to Blake. We had Bryce from Beulah got us started. We had some really good discussion questions. Some really good discussion. Bryce from Beulah, LG, Johnny Caldwell a couple of times. Bo from Moody came in with the April Fools. Thought he was going to get us. Stephen from North Carolina, PSU, man, Penn State, big dog. Oh, yeah. We are, Stephen. Nick from Atlanta, Chase from Adamsville, probably the call of the night right there. Bottonfield Bengal right there, former Bottonfield Bengal. P. Beasley from Sandy Springs, Big C with the WDE. Love that. Edward, we'll be thinking about you, big dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate you as always. And then Patrick, clean this up there at the end. Now, I say we talked about this earlier in the show. Right now, we're going to set this show for next week for Monday night, 6:30. And if something changes, we'll make sure everybody knows. But as of now, we'll do next week's show Monday night at 6:30 and recognize Easter Sunday. Also, I wanted to say that Miss Patty caught me spitting. That's Jessica's mom. I want to apologize. It's Miss Patty. Speaking of Jessica, y'all looking for a home in or around Auburn, Lee County, man, this is the one you need to call. 334-704-4442. 5-star realtor, folks. I'm telling you, man, if you don't believe me, go look it up. Jessica Andrews with the Talons Group, 334-704-4442. Give her a call. Tell her we sent you. All right, folks, fantastic show, man. Thanks to everybody. We appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody watching. For Jhead, for Zach in the back who came to the front, for Cole, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay out of that left lane. See ya.